Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we started recording episodes virtually instead of being in the same room together. This created technical issues for us for many weeks. Our sound issues get better beginning with the pros and cons episode. In the meantime, we appreciate your patience with the sound issues that are present in this episode. Dialectical behavior therapy was created in the 1980s by Marsha Linehan in Seattle, Washington.
Today, DBT is taught all over the world.
We're two therapists who believe everyone can benefit from DBT skills.
I'm Kate.
I'm Michelle.
And this is DBT and me.
Hi, guys.
Hello, everybody.
There's Kate. Today marks an important day because we are moving from emotion regulation to distress tolerance skills, which is very exciting. And we already talked about one distress tolerance skill when we talked about TIP. We went a little out of order because we wanted to make sure you guys knew about TIP when we were talking about what you can do if you're emotionally overloaded. So we're now officially diving into the distress tolerance skills. And even though we did talk about in the beginning, I don't know if it was our first episode or what episode it was. I know at some point we reviewed what the different DBT modules are, what they're about, because that's pretty key information to know. But that was a while ago. And as a reminder, the distress tolerance skills are really good skills for when events and things in your life are happening that are outside of your control, is kind of how we think about it. These skills are really good for things like when you're struggling with grief, maybe struggling with any kind of life transition, like maybe you've lost a job or a relationship has ended or things like that. But they're in general really helpful when you need to just basically, I don't know, kind of the way I want to put it, maybe it's not the best way, but it's to like wait something out. Like you just kind of have to be patient while this thing is happening. There's not much you can do to prevent or stop it from happening. And
the event is outside of your control and the only thing you can influence is yourself.
Yes, exactly, Kate. Yeah. That's the time where we want to use these distress tolerance skills. So as we start getting into them, you'll notice that some of them touch on distraction, self-soothing, acceptance, all sorts of different things of how to just be with yourself when you're going through something really tough. And Kate, I don't know if you have anything to add. There's that expression that you say sometimes in groups that's so great that I can never remember exactly. What is it?
Basically, I think like emotion regulation, the stuff we're just finishing up, is the module for when like life is just kind of being life and maybe your emotional state is more the problem, right? And that doesn't mean like you're wrong for your, well, you've been listening, you know how we feel about all that. But, right, you need to, your emotions are the thing that you kind of need to be grappling with. And distress tolerance, I think of, is when the world's the problem. And you have to find a way to endure it, right? Mm-hmm. Find a way to survive the world.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So that's
so emotions are the problem, or the world is the problem. I guess that's the
pretty much. And lots of times it can be a combination of both.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. It's not so black and white necessarily as we're making it out to be, but sometimes certain things err far more on one side than the other, of whether it's within your control or outside of your control, what's going on. And the distress tolerance is really for the stuff that's outside of your control, is how we view it. So that's an important thing to know as we truly start diving into the distress tolerance skills. And today we are back to an acronym. Surprise. And
So many acronyms.
I was going to say, no one's probably surprised. Yes, lots of acronyms. Lots of acronyms in the distress tolerance module.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, there's like, we're entering into the two most
acronym heavy modules.
Yes.
Yeah, distress tolerance has a lot of acronyms. Interpersonal effectiveness has a lot of acronyms.
And long acronyms, not just a lot, but like long ones.
Long ones, yeah. TIP was the shortest. And
Short.
yeah, thankfully. And today the acronym is called STOP. So 4 letters, 4 different components. Pretty manageable, hopefully. And we're going to be fully honest. This is a skill that we don't teach in our groups. It's a lesser known DBT skill, I would say. I don't know, it's like this. It's a happy little skill. But it's small, and is that weird that I call it a happy little skill? Yeah, happy little trees, happy little DBT skills. It's totally the same thing.
I think it's actually like 4 times when you're like super not happy.
Oh yeah, that is very true, right? It's a distress tolerance skill for a reason. But it's this, I don't know, it's this little skill that is probably, what was that, Kate?
It's succinct.
Yes.
It's very nicely self-contained.
Yes, it's a succinct skill. It's a short skill. It's a skill that encompasses a lot of stuff that we've already been talking about, which is, I think, why Kate and I don't really implement it much in our DBT groups. We just don't always have the time to get to it in the 8 weeks that we allot for our groups to go for. But today, you guys get to hear all about it. And it's a nice skill to start off the distress tolerance stuff with. TIP is, I don't know, I would say TIP, the one distress tolerance skill we've already spoken about. TIP is intense. Like, it involves 4 very different things. STOP, it all goes together nicely. And as you put it perfectly, Kate, it's succinct. It's a short-term skill. It's a good one to get started with, I would say. So, yeah.
When we were having to look more into it, because as Michelle said, we don't usually teach it. So we had to do some self-educating before giving this to you all. One of the things that I found online as a description I just really liked, which is that STOP is the skill to get to a place of problem solving instead of problem creating. Kind of a nice way of putting it, right? So, I don't know, when you're so overwhelmed, when you're so distressed, when you're having a moment, sometimes we can all behave in ways that maybe exacerbate.
Yeah, no, that's really true. Like, even though it falls under the distress tolerance module, that's how DBT classifies it. This is a really helpful skill for emotion regulation too.
I think it's like a bridgey skill, right?
It very much is.
So there's kind of bridges between the 2 ideas.
Yeah.
Not just jumping feet first into distress tolerance full bore. So,
yeah.
I love this. In true DBT style, there we go. In true DBT style, the first word for the STOP skill, what the S stands for, is stop.
Of course the S stands for stop. What else would it stand for?
Stop. So, stop. So much stop. Stop all the stopping. So much stopped. I don't know why it just cracks me up a lot. So the first idea is to very literally stop, right? What DBT suggests here is to like actually freeze, right? Like push the pause button, like on TV. Just stop. So don't move your muscles, especially like moving, don't move your face or your mouth. Like don't do anything. Take no action. Like actually stop. I know I'm going to say this word like 18,000 times now, so everyone can just get used to it already. This is really to prevent you from taking an action that maybe you would regret later. Right? This is, when you recognize, I think, that you're in this place of being just full bore emotion mind, right? And I would say, like, so emotion mind that you're almost dropping the word mind off the end, right? Like, you're just, that can be a dangerous place, right? Especially when you're really distressed. You can say or do things that can be harmful to you, to your life, to your relationships, right? To all sorts of stuff. So the first action is inaction for this one. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to kind of hit the reset button. And also, by consciously choosing to stop, I think that, how do I put that, like, opens the door to recognizing that you're in control, right? It can often feel when we're in that super emotional place that we're completely out of control. But if we're in control enough to stop, even if we're not, I don't know, acting, right, in a way that maybe feels, I don't know, good or how we want to or whatever, by stopping, obviously we had the power to stop, right? We're in control enough to stop. So I think it's kind of a brilliant way to start, because it allows you to instantaneously recognize that you are exercising control over yourself in this situation. Right? Because if you can stop something, then you can make choices. So, I don't know if you have anything to add to that one, Michelle. Like I said, this is a pretty succinct skill, so not a lot. But, right, the first bit of stopping is stop. Stop. Always stop. Pause.
Yeah. Yep. I think you explained it really well. And what came up for me as you were talking about it is, at least for myself, I'll say this. I don't think maybe everyone's like this, but sometimes I'll catch myself in, repeating maybe unhealthy patterns or just doing things that I've done before that don't really work, but I fall back on it, and I'll catch myself, and rather than actually stopping and doing this skill, how it's meant to be used, I just try to immediately switch to something different, something quote unquote better, doing something else. And I don't actually really stop. I just kind of transition. I try anyways, but sometimes it doesn't always go so well because I didn't actually stop and
Pause.
I didn't actually pause. I just tried to keep going, but course correct. It would kind of be like if you're lost, you have a couple options. You can either keep circling the blocks, hoping that you find your way, or you can pull over and look up the directions and see where you need to go. And stop is very much pulling over. Yeah, before you proceed. So I don't know. I just thought about that, the importance of stopping and how, at least for me, I don't do it very often. I just keep pushing and keep trying.
Yeah, it also mentions, and I don't know, this is kind of inherent in a lot of DBT stuff, but I didn't mention it, but it does say, during that stop, it can be helpful to, name the emotion that you're grappling with.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. Stop, I'm really angry, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, let me take stock of this. Yeah. Yep, perfect.
What's the T stand for, Michelle?
Well, the T stands for, and I almost said it just now as I was talking, but the T stands for take a step back. So, all of this can happen quickly, depending. Again, this is why stop is a very succinct, short skill. It can happen like that. Because as soon as you stop, then it's important to take a step back from the situation at hand. Now, ultimately, the best way to take a step back is to remove yourself physically, if you can. I think of it somewhat like an adult timeout. The same way that kids need timeouts, adults need timeout. Because when do we put kids in timeout? We put them in timeout when they are emotionally dysregulated. So they get to take a step back from the situation where that kid stole their toy and they got so upset they hit them or whatever whatever may be going on. We kind of force the kids to take a step back so that they can ideally calm down and then come back and try again. Well, we need that too. We just do. So if you can physically take a step back, do so. Sometimes I actually recommend this quite often to clients, sometimes when they're talking to me about situations in their lives that really emotionally overwhelm them and they want to take a step back or they want to get out of that situation somehow and they don't know how to even do it temporarily. I may have even mentioned it at one point in one of the episodes we've recorded. I'm a big fan of going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to, like, use the restroom if you don't need to, but go to the bathroom and else that as an excuse if you need to excuse yourself from the situation and take a step back. Now, if all else fails and you really can't physically remove yourself, and of course you can physically remove yourself with tons of other reasons or excuses. That's just like a last case resort. To physically remove yourself is to say that you need to go to the bathroom. But if you can't even do that in the moment, you know, there are ways to take a step back. I would say emotionally or mentally. Yeah, internally. I like that word. Yeah, that works really well. To put some kind of distance in another way between you and the situation at hand and the thing that's stressing you out. Kate, you look like you have something to say. Go for it.
Yeah, well, I just thought of it. It's like, I don't know, for an internal taking a step back, I think of the sort of super stereotypical count to 10.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of the idea, right? We're stopping and we're pausing so we give a chance for our brain to catch up.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So, like, that's not like a super stereotyped idea, but right, if you freeze and then you like count to 10, that gives count to 10 slowly and harking back way to emotions 101, right? Let that 90 seconds pass.
Yep.
Maybe without jamming your buttons, right? Let the emotion, like the actual chemical cascade, clear out a little bit before you try and re-engage.
Yes, spot on. Do some counting, do some deep breathing, and we're going to be talking about I think it is actually next week. Part of what we're going to be talking about is the skill called push away.
Oh.
And how push away can be a really great tool to use also for you to get some distance, even if it's not physical, between you and the thing or the situation that's stressing you out. So, first way to take a step back that's ideal, physically take a step back if you can. If you can't do that, try to do something internally briefly to help calm down your physiological response to what's overwhelming and stressing you out.
Another thing that I had noticed in their, I guess, I don't know, comment on what take a step back is that I really like is to remember that very rarely do we actually have to make split-second decisions. Like, not never, obviously, they happen. But a lot of times, especially when we're in a like hyped up emotional state, things can feel really immediate and really urgent that actually aren't. So, you know, along with Michelle's awesome, you know, take a literal step back or an internal step back, one of the things maybe you can use to like reassure yourself about that is remember, it can wait. Like, this can wait 30 seconds while I take a chill. So, I don't know, Michelle, I just thought that might sort of segue nicely into what you had been saying.
No, I think that's perfect. That's a great thing to add on there. Are we ready to move on to observe? The O?
I think we are, right? And observe I can talk. I was going to say, our mindfulness senses tingling. Why was that sentence so hard? I don't know. Right, because observe, right, is one of the how skills, or what skills, excuse me, of mindfulness. And that's really what this is coming down to as well, which is what's happening around you, what is happening inside of you, sort of take stock, take inventory. Who's involved? What are other people doing or saying? What kind of thoughts am I having? You know, in one of our last episodes recently, we were talking about, you know, a lot of self-talk and the kind of impact that can have. So this is a good time to take notice, like, am I, you know, shitting on myself, or am I, like, being really negative about the situation, or other, you know, myths or, you know, beliefs that don't serve me in this situation. So, again, and Michelle's mentioned this a couple of times, but this whole stop skill, it can, you know, they lay it out like these steps, but in a lot of ways, this is almost simultaneous.
Very fast.
Right? Because part of, I think, the taking a step back is, you know, is doing this inventory, is observing. And it also allows you to, I don't know, again, like when we're in a super, you know, intense emotional state, we may not be, okay, actually, I'm going to take a step further. We're probably not taking everything into account. right? Emotions bias us. That's part of their job, actually, is to kind of point out what they want us to be focusing on. But maybe focusing there isn't going to lead to the most effective action. So to take this, like, stop and take a step back and observe kind of allows you to try and paint a fuller picture for yourselves. Like, not just what am I drawn to or what do I want to see or what have I been focusing on, but kind of what all is here. So, like, all of the relevant facts, which then allows you to, you know, have all the information for making whatever decision you want to make moving forward, rather than kind of having on the blinders of being in an intense emotional experience. My Lord have mercy, I just can't talk today.
No, you're doing great. I don't know. I don't think I have much more to add on to that. I think that's a great explanation of it. And yeah, mindfulness comes back. It always comes back in DBT.
It comes back to mindfulness.
Yep. That's the base.
I'm not biased at all.
It's an okay thing to be biased towards. Mindfulness is good.
Speaking of mindfulness, Michelle, what's the P stand for?
Speaking of mindfulness, so the P does not stand for mindfulness, but it does stand for proceed mindfully. So this is going to be unique to each situation that you're in, of what that could look like, what that could mean. So if you're thinking to yourself right now, that sounds really vague. It is really vague. Of what does proceed mindfully mean exactly? The way that I interpret that is that it means if you have stopped, if you have taken a step back, again, especially if you've taken a physical step back, this is about revisiting or rejoining or coming back to that situation after you've taken that pause to observe, like Kate was just talking about, and then trying to continue on, but in a new or different way. And with that observing part that Kate was talking about, you know, that's also a great time to maybe try to use some of the other skills we've been talking about to check the facts, which, you know, it seems as if you were alluding to that quite a bit when you were like, let's look at the big picture here and see all sides, and a lot of check the facts stuff that we discussed in that episode. So once you've had the opportunity to do that, then hopefully you're more in your wise mind now than maybe you were before, and you can come back and act from more of a wise mind place. So thinking about, what are you hoping for this experience to be that you're in? If there is anything that you realized when you were observing that you could do differently, now's the time to put that into action and try something out and see what happens. But the whole goal of this stop skill is that once you've taken that pause, that break, that you can then continue in a way that feels more on track to you, more in alignment with who you really are, acting more authentically, being more in your wise mind, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like it because I feel like it makes it a nice kind of full circle skill.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just about stopping, it's about stopping and then re-engaging. Right?
Exactly.
It's not about just walk away and stay away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's allowing your brain to catch up and allowing you to assess the situation and decide what your goals are and kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Yeah, I like it too. And it's really important that we don't just take a step away and then stew, right? It's important that, yes, we complete that circle with the proceed mindfully sort of an idea of having that time away, that break be really intentional so that you can come back and do something different, that you're not just going to come back and do the same thing all over again, right? If we go back to that metaphor of you pull over to the side of the road, now hopefully when you start driving again, you have a better idea of what direction you're going in and where you're going to take the next turn.
Get out of your car and abandon it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Just walk away from your car. You don't need it anymore. But yeah, hopefully you'll make a different choice. You won't just start circling the block again. You'll be like, all right, now I feel a little more clear-headed. I know where I'm going, or I have a better sense at least of where I'm going or what I want to try. Here we go. So, yeah.
Nice. I like
Perfect.
It. Short and sweet.
Short and sweet DBT skill. Yeah, it is.
Rare that we can say that one.
It is pretty rare. Yeah. All right, so for homework, your homework is also pretty short and sweet. Try this out. I don't know. I don't want to speak with too much certainty, but it's probably more than likely that sometime during your week, you'll catch yourself in a situation where either externally you're maybe feeling really stuck in a situation that doesn't feel good, may catch yourself acting in a way that you wish was different, something like that, or just maybe internally. I think this could be really helpful, even if there's no one else around or nothing else happening, that this may be a good skill to use if you catch yourself ruminating and stewing and just stuck in your thoughts. This could be a good skill to use even when you're completely on your own, if you're catching yourself just overthinking, anxious, worrying, whatever it is. So try it at some point this week. I feel pretty confident an opportunity will come up to use it.
And like so many other distress tolerance or emotion regulation skills, like don't think that you have to wait for an emergency to try it.
Yes. Try it with an easier situation.
A more mild situation.
Yeah, totally. That's a great reminder, and it's so true with a lot of these skills. Don't wait for the crisis to hit. Practice when things are pretty calm.
Good.
Yeah.
And email us, right?
Yes! Do you want to say it, Kate? Say it! Say it! Do it!
Say it. Woo! All right, so please keep emailing us. We love it. It makes us happy. Email address is dbtandmepodcast@gmail.com. So
I'm doing a little happy dance that you guys can't see.
Right?
Yay, happy dance.
We gesture so much. I don't think we're ever going to stop.
It's impossible. For me, anyways, it feels impossible to stop. It's part of my communication style.
I know. It's just so funny that
no one can see.
We're communicating a lot to each other through our gestures.
Yeah, that's important.
Even across the video screen.
Yes, exactly.
I honestly think this actually makes more sense. I mean, brief aside, I know this has absolutely nothing to do with anything. But I think it's hilarious when we're sitting like a foot away from each other, like damn near face to face, and we're still gesticulating wildly.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm right here.
Yeah, two of us alone in a room wildly gesturing at each other.
It does make more sense when we're socially distancing.
Right? But it doesn't mean we do it any less when we're not.
This is very true.
So,
yep.
In case you needed that image in your head of Michelle and I just sitting in a room making wild gestures as we talk into a microphone. That is
flailing around.
That's pretty accurate.
Yep.
All right, closing moment. Yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, awesome. I picked this closing moment today because I felt like all of the stuff just feel kind of is centered in a kind of grounding, even though it never uses that language. So we're going to do a grounding exercise today. So, as per usual, I invite you to get comfortable, whatever that means for you in the situation you're in right now. And if you feel safe and comfortable doing so, go ahead and close your eyes. And as always, we're going to start by just tuning into our breath. You don't have to breathe any differently than you are naturally, or more slowly or deeply. It's just about tuning in. Just about noticing where you feel your breath in your body, how you notice it, and just letting that welcome you. Letting your breath bring you into your body and into the present moment. And now for the rest of this exercise, I am going to invite you, if it feels comfortable to do so, to actually do intentionally slow and deepen your breath a little bit. It doesn't have to be anything drastic. It doesn't have to be, in fact, certainly shouldn't be anything uncomfortable or really difficult to sustain. Just paying attention and having some intention around your breath. Being nice and slow and being nice and deep. If you can, going ahead and trying to make sure you're breathing into your belly. You might facilitate that by putting a hand on your stomach, seeing if you notice your stomach coming out and in as you breathe, instead of just your chest and shoulders moving. And as you're breathing, nice and slow and nice and deep, I want you to picture roots coming down and out of your feet and growing down into the ground beneath you. Wherever you are, whatever your feet are on, just picture yourself growing down and down, deeper and deeper into the earth below and beneath you. You might picture these looking like literal tree roots. Maybe these roots are made of a color or made of light. No wrong way to picture it. Just with each time you inhale, picture that breath going all the way down into your body, and in fact down through your body and into those roots that you're growing. Just down and down, deeper and deeper, feeling that solid and firm foundation beneath you. Feeling yourself literally connected to the ground underneath you. And as those roots continue to grow and continue to solidify, continue to connect you to the world beneath your feet, I also invite you to feel the strength that you can pull up into you through those roots. A sense of strength, a sense of being solid, being firm, all of that flowing up and into your body from these roots that you have grown. Until every breath you take is this cycle of growing down and deep into the earth, and also pulling up and into yourself from the earth. You may feel as though you're even discharging stress, anxiety, fear, anything you need to let go of. You can also discharge through these roots, down into the ground and away from yourself, while continuing to pull in that sense of strength and connectedness and energy. Take a few moments and just hang out here. With those nice, slow, deep breaths. Those nice, solid roots grounding you, holding you, supporting you, nourishing you. With every breath, with every moment. When you feel like you've spent enough time in this moment, you can begin to gently and slowly let go of that image. If it feels right to you, you might imagine those roots actually coming back up and into your body, bringing with them everything that you need from this grounding exercise. Or you can imagine them dispersing down and into the ground. Whatever image feels the best and comes most naturally to you. Once you've let go, once the roots are gone and you're just back in your own body, I invite you, as per usual, to take a couple of nice, slow, even deeper breaths than you've been doing. Just really solidly put you back into your body, into the moment. Also, this is a good time to stretch, roll your neck or shoulders, wrists or ankles, and just come back into your body, into the moment, into the room. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. To learn more about us and the DBT skills we're teaching each week, join our Facebook group. Simply log in to your Facebook profile and